Hey. Hello, my loves. It's your girl, Corey Love, back with another episode of Carefree DV Conversations. So, tonight we are live. This is not a pre recorded show. I'm actually going to be live, and tonight I'm going to be speaking with Shonny Dee of Why I Care 20 organization. And without any further ado, I'm just going to bring her right on in so we can get started. And so thank you that for all that's tuning in. If you got some time, do me a favor, share this out with your audience, send a text and tell them to join so they can join in on this conversation. If you have any questions, make sure you drop your questions in the comment section and I will try to get to it. If I don't get to it immediately, don't think that I'm ignoring you. All right, let's bring in Shonny. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Or should I just say my normal what up though?
I always forget you are originally from Detroit.
Yes. Born and raised east side. Yes.
Yes. Okay. You're a Michigander.
And is. Yep.
Yes.
I don't miss that
How
cold,
do you
though.
say it?
You said it right, Michigander. And I don't miss the cold. Cool. I don't.
All right. So I just want to say thank you for being a part of the show and everyone that's tuning in. You guys know that we're talking about domestic violence. Last month was Domestic Violence Awareness Month. However, we know this is something statistically that happens at least 20 times per minute, according to the statistics. So even though we're in November, we're still going to continue our conversations about domestic violence. And so we can help, make people aware of the signs and different things and so forth. Shonny's story is a little bit different. And I'm excited to talk about it because she's going to be talking about it from a different perspective, which we're not used to. So Shonny was not the actual person being, she's not a survivor or warrior. She did not actually get abused, but she is a very close relative of the individual that was, which is her sister. So I know a portion of the story. And it's, this is a touchy subject. So if you want to say, give me a minute, pause, whatever you need to do, just let me know. Okay. So
gotcha. I'm good.
Okay, good. Go ahead and let the audience know who was the individual that we'll be talking about tonight.
Well, there's two people. My sister, she actually was not the victim of domestic violence, but her life was taken by a victim of domestic violence. Mm-hmm. And she was not she was not her abuser. So it's quite a bit of a different story. And I can just jump right in. And, if anyone wants to ask questions later or hit me up, I can further, discuss it. But my sister met a guy. I was with her when she met the guy, and they went out one time. She did not know much about him. She didn't know about the baggage that he carried, the lifestyle that he lived. She was 20 years old, a Wayne State University college student studying for her bachelor's in education. During Memorial Day weekend, she decided, I'm going to go ahead and go out with this guy, that I just met. And, me being 10 years older, being the big sister, and, her coming into her own, like I said, a college student, she was growing. So she was a bit naive and didn't have any fear. She thought everyone was good. She thought, it's okay.
Just being a sweetheart.
Just being a sweetheart, high spirit, high energy person. Just felt people, didn't do wrong. Of course, we know that to not be true. However, this young lady, my baby sister, Felicia, my little bookaboo, she went out with the guy, but she did not make it home. Because once she went to this gentleman's home, she did not know he shared with his baby mother. They had children together and they had a very violent relationship. So she stepped into something that she was not aware of. Her and the young lady did not know one another,
Mhm.
never crossed paths. And ironically, the young lady mother and my mother lived on the same street. Never knew these people ever. And we met him in my mother's neighborhood. So, fast forward, she goes out with him, but this young lady that he had this violent relationship with, and I say violent, and to the point where just 3 days before she took my sister's life, they had an altercation, which is why she was not at the house. So when he took my sister
Okay.
to, you want me to pause right there? You have a question?
No, I was saying, I'm thinking she walked, like she came to the house and she walked into the young lady there. So the young lady was not there. She
He was
wasn't.
not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this young lady, now again, that was her home too, but they had this relationship that was so violent. She would leave often,
Okay.
and with the, hopes from her mother and her family that she would never go back. However,
Mm.
that day she went back. My sister was there. Um, and during that time, it was really late at night when she did show up. There
Mhm.
was not really an altercation. My
Mhm.
sister was ambushed. She was totally ambushed. She was not aware of her surroundings as to, who this young lady was or whoever was with her. And she took my sister's life. Now, she took all of her misplaced anger and aggression out on Valicia, who she did not know, never laid eyes on her, never had any dealings with this young woman. And she took her life. And the young man, the guy, and I'm not going to say young man because he's a grown man, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, he left during that situation, left my sister in the house after this young lady had taken her life, and he did not report it to the police. He went to his mother's house. She did not report it directly to 911, but she called a friend who was a police officer, and that's when the call was made that my sister was in that house dead. So
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, if you have questions, I could take a break because this story is deep and it's a lot to cover
Yeah.
time. And I know people are like, well, how this or why this?
Yeah. Yeah, because
But
I'm
I'm
thinking,
also,
so the
go
young
ahead.
lady happened to come home, or I mean, like you said, that was her home. They
Hmm.
fell out or whatever, and she came back that night when your sister
Right,
was there.
right. Yeah.
Oh.
So it was a like, who are you in my house type of
Yeah.
situation. So
Yeah.
naturally one would say, oh, well, she was in that woman's house. But here's the thing. She did not know there was a woman that exists. And
Yeah.
because of this situation, because of the type of player this brother was, he wasn't about to say, hey, yeah, I got 3, kids with her or however
Yeah.
many children they had. He's not spilling it out. He was no good. Is
Yeah.
that's just the bottom line. And keep in mind, for those that are watching, I'm not just telling this story from what I think happened. I'm speaking this from what this young lady told me herself, which is in my book, which is based on our real conversations from letters that her and I wrote. So I got to know this young lady through through us writing one another over a course of 7 years. So it's
You talking about the young lady that's in prison, the one that killed your
in
sister?
prison. Yes, because she did go to prison. She is serving life without parole. The young man, he did not, like I said, he ran out. Nothing happened. The prosecutor said, well, we can't charge him with anything but walking stupid. And I will never forget Lindsay, can't remember her last name, but the prosecutor in Detroit. Yes. So that's exactly what she said. I can't prosecute,
So
charge him.
he that's tough. That's whew.
Yeah, it is because mind you, they had a very
He
violent
brought her to
relationship.
the home.
He took my sister into the arms of danger.
Right.
He knew what he was dealing with, but not only that, he was abusing this young lady. So, to talk about a little bit why I'm an advocate against domestic violence, because I feel like had she got the necessary help, she would not have taken my sister's life. And that is also her words. So she's
That is
now,
very, very. Someone says, how long ago did this happen?
it was in 2005. 2005 in Detroit on the west side. It was all over the news. And the way the news will paint the story when it first comes out, it was like my sister went to this guy's house. She was a bit naive, and
Yeah.
there was a altercation that ensued and things. They dress it up and
Yeah.
not even knowing the victim, not
Yeah.
knowing even the suspect's story. Like this is what happened.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
sister was left in that house with this young lady, and by time daylight hit, the coroners are taking my sister out. Kids are going to school, and then the neighbors are seeing it. So it's also what the neighbors stated that they saw. They saw her being brought out in the bloody sheet, and put into the back of the coroner's van. And then you have the young lady also telling me exactly what took place. I am the one person in my family that knows exactly what happened, how it happened, and when it happened. So that's why I felt it was my healing to get to know her in order for me to forgive her. So this was not an easy battle. This is not something that I took on and said, hey, let's be friends. That's not how it worked. And
Right.
it was over a period of time
Course of
because
time.
her family member reached out to me and said, my sister would like to get in touch with you. Now, this is after 7 years after the case. And I was ready at that time, like, okay, because I did have questions. I always wondered why,
Right.
how could you?
Yeah.
She did
Yeah.
not know you. And I often said,
Right.
if you would have known her, you would have never wanted to harm her. And
Yeah, for
then,
her.
it's like if you would have, if my sister would have had the chance to say, hey, could you, take me home? I'm
Yes.
sorry. And she said, my sister said that exact thing. She begged them, because it was not just her in that home that night. She
Wait,
caught.
hold on. So I'm trying to. I mean, I get what you're saying. So the girlfriend or the person that's their home came home, saw her. Was she with friends?
She caught a cab from the east side, from her mother's house to the west side. And after her mother is begging and pleading with her, don't go over there, don't go back, because mind you, she left because of the fight. So now he's
Oh,
on
so
my
she was coming
sister's
back
phone.
home.
She wanted to come back home. And then
Okay.
also she said, because she was calling, blowing his phone up, he wasn't answering because he was
Got
blowing
you.
everybody else's phone up. He called
Got
my
you.
sister
Okay.
all
Okay.
day. He called another
Okay.
young lady all day. He had another young lady pregnant at the time who testified in court. And after court, she was 6 months pregnant during the time of the murder. So this is someone that this young lady was familiar with. They battled. They knew each other. They knew about each other. And after one of the days in court, the young lady, she told us, standing out on Frank Murphy steps, she said, she thought I was in that house. Your sister, this shouldn't have never happened to your sister. She thought it
Oh
was
my God.
me. She was okay with the sharing and all like that. Had my sister gave herself that time to get to know him, she would have ever dealt with him, because she
Yeah.
didn't deal with guys with kids, baby mom. My sister, she was still a baby yet herself. She was only 20, really
Yeah.
just beginning to explore life,
Yeah.
and
And he
these people
probably
have experience in mess, you know what I mean?
yeah. He probably
Yeah,
was charming, and you said she was young and naive, so
he
you
did
know,
appear to be charming. Oh, he was
yeah.
smooth. He was smooth, but he was also arrogant. And we saw
Mm.
that in court. He was very arrogant, like her family need me, her family need me. You know, he just was so I'm that deal. Like he really, but when we first met
After
him,
he caused the death of this young lady. Oh my
right,
God.
right, he was very arrogant. So you know, I it took some time, but like I said, I had questions. I wanted to know some things. But
Hmm.
I moved on with my life. I relocated to Atlanta, where my sister planned 2 weeks before her death. She said, "Hey, I think I'm gonna transfer to Clark University." She said, because my sister was born in Atlanta, but we were raised in Detroit, and we had ties to Atlanta all our life. So
Hmm.
she said, "Hey, I think I'm gonna go, to the South and go to school." And she called her dad like a couple of weeks before to tell him, I'm gonna start my process to relocate. And then in two
Oh
weeks
my
she was gone.
God.
So I was like, "Oh yeah, we gone. Let's go. I'm ready to get back to the A. I've always wanted to move back as an adult and yada yada yada." And in 2 weeks she was gone due
So
to
that is so sad. That
just
is very,
living
very
life, just
sad.
going out with someone. So that's a part
Wait,
of you know why I do what I do.
so the young lady, I'm just still stuck on this that he didn't get charged. Two, the young lady came in, did whatever she did in whatever manner that she murdered her, and then just had her to sit there. I mean, it's a
Well,
long time now, but she I don't know how she did it. If you want, you could share that, but she could have called somebody. She called her friend, which she said was a police
Well,
officer.
they from my understanding from the way she explained it to me, they arrived together. So, but she did
Who
not
arrived together?
her sister, her cousin, and there was another person there with him or something, but she didn't disclose any of that information up front. She took the fall for it all. Um,
Oh.
she did
And
not
he is
disclose.
out. Oh my
Well,
God.
not anymore, but he's in for a different case. He's in prison as well for murder, but that was later on. He took someone else's life. So you're
Was it a
talking,
woman?
no, it was a guy. It was doing some street
Oh,
stuff. But
okay.
the sad part of it was they had kids, right? And then her daughter and my daughter were both the same age. They were 2 years old. And I was at court one day, and the little girl, before they separated us, because they did have us all together
In
at one
case.
point, but
Hmm.
it got to the point they did separate us. But before doing so, the little girl, she was eating some candy or something, and her hands was sticky, cute little girl, 2 years
Hmm.
old. And she, walks up to me. I'm sitting there just snacking, waiting on, court to start back up. And she
Hmm.
touched my leg. And somebody in the family was like, "Come here, come here, to get." And I was like, "No, she's okay." But
Yeah.
Corey, when I say I looked into this little girl's eyes, and all I could think was, "Oh my gosh, she's about to be without her mother," you know? Like, I don't know where this empathy and sympathy came from. And that's probably why I'm the one that was chosen to go down this
Yeah.
road. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it's still heavy. It was heavy for my family then, and it's still some days it's heavy,
Yeah, I
but
can imagine.
I mean, honestly, for me, I thank God that I was the chosen one, because it couldn't be nobody else. Like, nobody else was with it. Seriously, like they were not with it.
Listen,
I thought I was
you,
going crazy.
yeah, you
I
going
did.
by that the scripture. What's that scripture that say it's basically if you forgive to be forgiven of your
Yeah, yeah,
sins too?
yeah. Because
Yeah.
and it wasn't even like I had thought about it. It was I love you too, baby. That's my daughter just chimed in.
Hey
But
daughter.
it's not like I had thought about it, but it just happened that way. over a course of, a period of time. So 7 years, and 7 is the number of complete. It was
I
like,
just about
okay,
to
you
say.
ready. That's what I was getting from God. Like, okay, you ready to do this. And that's how I wrote the book. And truthfully, she's the co-author. However, she chose not to, put her name on it. She authorized it, but this is her story too. So me getting to know her and having that unknown sympathy and empathy that was driving me crazy, and I couldn't sleep because it was like, you're going to write this book. You're going to put this book together and somebody's going to get help from it. And I didn't want the assignment. Now, let's be clear. I didn't want to do it, but I couldn't sleep. And I'm telling you, when I finished and it was published, I slept like a baby. I felt like
that weight off of you. It was supposed to happen.
Yeah. It was supposed to happen. And it just, people still say to this day, your book changed my life, or I was able to forgive this person or that person for what they've done to me. And it was not easy. You think I didn't want to fight? I wanted to fight.
I know. And you're from Detroit, so I know y'all be with that.
In the courtroom several times. I'm passing her. You know how you see those court brawls in the courtroom. I'm walking past her because I too had to testify. You think I didn't want to clothesline her? Absolutely did. I did. But it was like, okay. And then not to mention, my mother had already said, don't do nothing. My mother was very adamant about that because that's not who my sister was. When my sister girls wanted to fight her at school and we was like, what's up? She was like, no, don't come up here. We shouldn't do that. No, there shouldn't be no violence. So that's who they took. My sister wanted to be an educator and a peacemaker. She was all about our youth and our elders. So that is who they took. So I had to step in. I had to take on this road because I was not going to get no peace if I didn't take the torch and go and help someone else. So when I say letters of forgiveness, that is authentic. It's real. And I can't stress it enough. I get people don't understand it or couldn't fathom feeling like that for someone that took their loved one life. You have to walk in my shoes, but God gave me these feet. So I can't explain it more than what I can explain it as, But, I just, if she would have gotten the necessary help, if she would have listened to her family who tried numerous times, because this is not like that was their first fight. These people fought. They were together. When my sister passed, she was 20. The young lady was 24. She had been with that man since she was 16. So this is a long time. Now, mind you, this is the words of her and her family members. So this is a long time of abuse. And she also was molested by her biological father. She became pregnant by him, had an abortion. Like, there is things that went on in this.
So at this point,
at this point, it was like, well, I'm done, like a snap moment, and hearing her brother, when I spoke to him years ago, and he said it was bound for something like this to happen. She had experienced so much evil in her life,
So that's why you said that. So, I mean, we can feel sorry for her. And sometimes people say, like, she didn't have to do that. That's how I feel.
She didn't, but,
because, it wasn't, like you said, I guess she didn't realize. She just said, another woman in the house. I'm not with this.
Exactly.
Maybe that's the time
another one. Slipped. And it's one she's
like, I'm tired of this.
Either. Like, because I don't even know, had it been the one she was used to fighting, had she killed her? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong words and get you kicked off. But I don't, it's like, I still, even I ask questions that she has not been able to answer because she didn't have it all,
And wow. But how did you... how did you end up? Because you say you wrote the book, she gave you permission. I don't know if you, I don't think you explained how you ended up communicating with
Writing
her
it.
at this point.
Okay, so after her brother reached out and said, my sister, wants to get in touch with you, I set up an online account, to write her electronically. So now,
Oh, okay. I didn't know you had that.
mind you, I'm in a space that I don't want these people having my address. I don't, I've moved on, but yet this is still a part of me.
Yeah.
So I end up setting up an account. I got her information, looked her up on Otis and everything, got her information. And then I hit her up and I just did a one line. Hey, I heard you wanted to get in touch with me, because I'm like, at that point, I was like, hey,
What's up? What
yeah,
happened?
like, what you want? So then she wrote back fairly quickly.
Okay.
And it went from there. Now I end up giving her another address that I was able to get mail at, because
Hmm.
she did write, handwrite letters as well.
Okay.
And so I have those handwritten letters, and they're very thick. It's a lot of them. And then the electronic ones. So as I'm getting to know her story, because my main question was why, right?
Wow.
That's what I wanted to know. Why would you do it?
Yeah.
It took her a minute to get there, but as she was getting there, she more so was explaining who she was. And throughout all of that, she was still saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, it's multiple times she's saying this. And but she's also telling me about all the pain and things that she had
She
went through.
was messed up.
So it was like, for a minute, I was like, okay, I don't care. I'm typing back and I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
that's your problem. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Like, when you gonna answer the
Yeah.
question why? I went through all of that. And
Hmm.
eventually it got to a point that I was like, oh, okay. And then I stopped writing. I stopped all communication. No sleep. No sleep. You want to know why? We're gonna get to the why. That's what
Yeah.
I'm hearing. So finally, she just like laid it out. Everything that she had went through, from her father, from the abuse she went through with him, a guy before him. So this was like a cycle through her entire life, pretty much, of abuse. And when it got to the point, it was where she just couldn't take it. Like, she just
Mhm.
gave in and gave up. She
Mhm.
had been gave up before taking my sister's life. Like, this man has put her in the hospital. She has had broken bones. She has had all the bruises and everything you could think of. The pulling
Mhm.
out her hair, the throwing her against the wall while she's pregnant. Because she don't want to dance for him. There's so many layers to it, and all I can say is, whoa. And I began to ease up on her, in my writing. And as I
Mm.
eased up, she gave more and more and more. And
Mhm.
then it became points where, okay, I'm not writing her today. I'm not doing it. And I would let a whole
Okay.
month go by, and then I would check my JPay account or what have you, and then 3-4 letters in there. And so I'm like, okay. And I just would bawl out. I would just
Mhm.
bawl, like, like my daughter could tell you, she was right there for it all. Like I said, she was 2 when this happened. So she grew up in this, watching me build this
Go
foundation,
through your emotions.
yeah. So, the sleepless nights, the not eating, and dealing
Mhm.
with people, that's close to me saying I could never, or how could you, or, forget her, and yada, yada. So
Mhm.
it wasn't theirs. It wasn't theirs to handle. It was mine. And
Mhm.
so I just was like, okay,
Mhm.
let me read a little more. And
Mhm.
what really got me was when the letter that I got from her, and she said, Because you forgave me, I am now able to forgive my father. I was done. Get the people with the white sheets to come pick me up because I'm trying to tell you, I was on the floor. Like,
Wow.
okay, I'm somewhat getting it because I still hadn't got it, but I'm like, okay, I'm somewhat getting it. All right, I'm not tripping. I'm not crazy. I'm supposed to be doing this. This is what I have to do. It was a lot, Corey. It was a lot, but
And this is 7 years after, right?
this is 7 years after. So it was like, it's complete now. You can chill out, but you got work to do because I've
You gotta,
equipped you with
yeah.
all of this. Now take that and help someone else. And that's how letters
Listen,
of forgiveness was birthed.
that is definitely a true sign of how you forgive someone. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
she murdered your sister, and you
My
was able to.
baby, my baby, we were tight. It's 3 of us on my mom's side. I got a slew of sisters and brothers on my dad's side, but my mom, it was 3 girls, and I'm the oldest of 3
Mhm.
girls. And me and my baby sister Valicia was 10 years apart. So she was on my hip when I'm outside
The
playing. So she
baby,
took
yeah.
something. I'm that one that she was always going to. She hung out at my house when she's home from school. She had keys to everybody in the house because she's the baby going off to college and everything. So it was heavy. She took
Yeah.
something very precious, and then I think throughout the transfer of our letters, she realized how much damage. It's like, you took somebody's life, but I think she really realized how much damage she had caused, not just herself, but those around her, because now her children is being raised
Right.
with present, so it was so many layers to this. And I don't like to say story because this is real, it's life, it happened. um and these are her authentic words to me and my authentic words to her. The only thing I changed was the names and the people, the
Okay.
names of the people and the locations. Um,
Mhm.
but it was a lot to unpack for
Mhm.
me. So I imagine people that, when they hear this story,
Read it.
how they like, whoa, that's heavy, because it
I have
is.
so many questions, but it's like, oh my gosh, we might have to do a double show.
We can. This is what I do. Because my thing is, if I can speak to the person that's being abused, because that day it happens, you snap, and then you, in this case, she snapped on the wrong person.
But like you said earlier, she had a lot of built up anger. She had mental problems, basically,
He
and she
definitely
never
did
got
have
it healed.
never got it healed. She often would tell me how she had all the signs that her life was going to either end up in prison or in a grave, because it wasn't
Really?
just her family members. She said, and I'll tell you this real quick, there was one lady that she one night she was riding to they went to the movie store. Back then you still could go into like a video store and
Yeah.
pick up a movie. So
Uh-huh.
they was at the video store. She said this lady, they were on like Grand River on the west side. Lady
Yeah.
turned around, U-turned on Grand River, and was like, came up to her car window, was like, you need to get away from him. That's the devil. You need to get away from him. Like, out of nowhere. She said she didn't know the lady. She never seen this lady before in her life. It wasn't somebody she was into it about him. She said it was all there. Even when he put her in the hospital after leaving the comedy show because she was looking at somebody's outfit, but
Oh Lord
she thought
Jesus.
she was looking at the guy that the girl was with. She checking out her outfit because she said she was into, stylish things, fashion, and what have you. And he told her, I'm whooping your butt when we get outside. And he did just that. He threw her purse up on top of the building. And back then it was Coco's House of Comedy down on Jefferson. Threw her purse on top of the building. She woke up in the hospital. And he had been told the police these girls jumped her after the show when it was him. It's that kind of stuff. Like, this is why I was like, yes, I was confused for a long time, like how I'm supposed to help this situation. But I
Yeah.
get it now. you know. And do I miss
Yeah.
my sister? Absolutely. I wish. You know how many times I've
Hmm.
asked God, and when they say, "Oh, don't ask him why he doesn't make mistakes." Well, you know how many times in my natural self I ask that question. So
Yeah.
yeah, I want my baby, but I know also that if I can reach one, I could possibly save two.
Safe.
That's my thing. So I'm
Listen.
past reach one, save one. I need to save two, because then we can keep this thing going. Like this, it's help out here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a firm believer, do not do victim shaming. Everyone has a
Mm-hmm.
story. It's a reason behind the madness, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, husband. That's my baby there. Um, and it's like you really, until you have lived it, Corey, I guess people wouldn't be able to understand what it is, but it's nothing but God. It's not me. And I know
Ain't
I
nothing
need
but whew.
to see him and not me, because had you saw me, I wanted to fight. I had sisters and brothers and cousins and uncles. It wasn't nothing to be played with. You took our loved one. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm about my father's business. That's who Shonny is. So it goes way deeper than just a book or
Yeah.
a movie or what have you. I am here today before you because I've lived through this, and my goal is to save someone.
Someone. Thank you
And
all
some
so much for tuning in. If you're just joining the live, we're having a carefree domestic violence conversation with Shonny Dee of Why I Care 20. And we're talking about her nonprofit organization today. She's also a producer, director, writer. She has a lot
yes,
of other things going, but tonight we are talking about, the loss of her sister due to domestic violence. So if you have any questions, drop your questions or comments in the comments section, and I will share it out so that she can see it as well. And um, I'm just so, I love God. I believe in God. Trust me, and I understand the power of forgiveness. But I
it's
really have
real.
to. You're a true walk-in example of it.
It's real.
So
It is real. You can
yeah,
have it. You can have it.
yeah,
You have to
my
stay in prayer. Because like I
a
said, it
lot.
wasn't easy. And then I had a circle. I did have a huge circle that,
Hmm.
was like, what, we don't care about her. She can rock. And
Yeah,
then I also had that circle that was like, we get it. And they covered me in prayer. They kept me in prayer. And I still have those friends today. And I walk
yeah,
with them. They are my true prayer warriors. And
yeah,
this book, that is for
yeah,
real. It's
yeah.
serious. Letters of forgiveness. And this is the letters between me and the young lady, all combined into
Mm,
this book. But there are some things I omitted, for the privacy of for my mother. There was some I was not going to give exact details, but I
mm,
am the one person that know everything. I will
mm,
say there was 2 knives and a pair of scissors used. She stabbed my sister over 17 times. I will say that. I won't go
mm.
into the steps and
Yeah.
process of it though.
Now,
But yeah,
I mean, we going back again on her because you said she was with him since she was 16.
yeah,
So she basically was a baby, and he
yeah,
groomed her to
yeah,
be what
yeah,
he wanted, and that's very sad. That's the sad part about it. You did say also she saw the red flags, because that's something that I was going
yeah,
to ask you in your conversations with her. Did she ever say that she saw too
yeah.
many red flags and she
She
just
saw them.
kept on with the play?
He terrorized her. He
Yeah,
terrorized her. He terrorized her family. Like I'm more boisterous about it now, but there's some things while he was still out, I was just like, because I never
I
wanted to
hate that
run.
he. I mean, ooh, that's
It took
so.
a long time, because I think it was like maybe close to 7 years after that. So we're talking almost maybe 14 years before he actually landed in prison himself. But
He got
there
life
were,
too.
yes, yeah, life with no
Mm,
parole. Um,
mhm.
and I got that call because the prosecutor was like, we finally got him on something. because he lived this life of crime,
After
and he just
14 years,
yeah. So
the
it was like
prosecutor reached out
very,
to you.
very close to it. Yeah, very close. And like my family, um, we grew up. We're from the east side of Detroit. You know, it's a small world. Everybody knows everybody, or knows somebody that knows somebody. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, my aunt ran into the prosecutor, Lisa Lindsay. Lisa Lindsay. I oh, Lisa Lindsay. She said to my aunt, I still have Alicia's picture on my desk. Like she said, that is the one case that has forever stuck with her. The
Wow.
judge in the arraignment was crying. The judge that sentenced her, he said, this is the worst case he said I've ever had to preside over. He said, because there's a 20-year-old that had a prominent future in the grave, and there's a 24-year-old young lady with children that I have to sentence to
Get
life
rid
with
of
no.
it. Mm-hmm. Take you.
Two families gone, destroyed, you know. So that's
Mm-hmm.
it. That's why I say it's so deep for me, because my goal
Mm-hmm.
is to help the families. I have went in the middle of the night, the middle of the day. I have helped with escape plans. I have orchestrated escape plans. I have helped people get out. And then I've been in situations where I've sent my people to get someone out, and in 30 minutes, the young lady circled back to get back.
Oh no.
So that's why I said, you know, I took down a lot of stuff, contact and like certain things. Like if you want to reach out to me to get the help, you could just call me or you could send me an email. But I no longer have a website. I don't post certain things due to the safety of myself and others, because it's not a game. It's not a game. Like I've been in that walk where it's not just we helping somebody with their clothes or something like that. Yeah, we do the clothing drives, the panty drives.
So
We
wait,
help
before
at the
go ahead and
shelter.
tell. Hold on 1 second. So tell them
Mhm.
the name of your organization and how they can get in contact with you to do these things, because I know you probably wanted, maybe you have some, I don't know, keywords, special
And I
code,
do
phone
a lot of
numbers.
screening. Yes, I do a lot of screening with people.
Okay.
So my email is yicare20@gmail, and that's the word Y, WHY, I care, CARE, and the number 20 @gmail.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it that way so that I can screen people. And
Mm.
I have to screen people who you're involved, you know, with who you say is helping you, like due to those safety issues, you know, things that I've ran into. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but if you know, are the family in need, or if you need clothing, food,
Okay.
diapers, those things, yeah, we will help with any of that. But when it comes to assisting with getting someone out, it's much deeper than that.
So
So
is this you do it just in Florida, Atlanta, and Georgia
no,
and
wherever if someone calls me, I have people I can call to set it up to make it happen. My nonprofit is 501(c)(3). It is national, so I don't just service the South, you
understood.
know.
Yes.
And it's bigger than me or anyone that helps me assist. You know, I have
Mm-hmm.
so many people that have poured into this organization over the years, and it's just something that will forever be with me, you know.
Yeah.
um and I don't want to see another person like my sister going through this, or this young lady. Like I said, if I can reach one, I'm gonna save two. That's the goal.
Yeah. And where can we purchase the book?
Amazon, because again, I took all the sites down, so you can actually just purchase it on Amazon. That is fine. It's called Letters of
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness. And this, like I said, is the letters between me and the young lady that
Is
took my
that your
sister.
sister on the cover?
No, this is actually a model for the book on the
Okay.
cover. I just had somebody
Mhm.
do the cover. I didn't want to put anyone's face on it. At the
Yeah.
time when I first did this, I was still in a space. I didn't even want nobody to know I was writing the book. I really didn't. I didn't want nobody to know anything about what I had going on, because I also was
Mm-hmm.
afraid of judgment, you know. But
Yeah.
now I'm like, whatever. Listen, let me tell you how my God works. It's not a game. It's real.
Yeah.
He has shown me himself. And even with my sister's life been taken, I've seen how he works. So I'm a different, person in that aspect now. I'm walking in a different way when it comes to that. And I'm very passionate about it. And that's another reason why I screen people, because this is not something I play with,
You just
so
want people. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I am against verbal abuse, like any of it, any level of abuse. No one should have to
Mhm.
suffer from that.
Do you think, or should I say, what are some words you would say to someone who we know is going through, and even those who just recently got out of it? What would you say to them?
Mm, two things I would say: live and forgive. And the reason I say that is because if you got out, it's your time. You can go and live. You are free, but forgive at the same time. In the same aspect, because you don't want to be held captive in your mind. It's like
Mhm.
walking around with unforgiveness is like somebody holding you strapped down and you can't get up and you can't breathe, because you're always
Yeah.
going to walk around with that hurt and that anger, right? So I just say live and forgive, because
Mhm.
it's yours to do. And God granted you the safe space to get to go
Mhm.
and be in that. And I
Use it.
understand
Yeah.
it hurts. I understand you have those moments that you, well, he said he's sorry. That man told this woman he was sorry so many times, and now she's in prison for the rest of her life. She's been through her appeals. People will say, "Oh, she can get out. She's gonna get out. She can get out." She's not
She's
home.
been in there almost 20 years now, right?
Yeah. So it's like, unless God Himself grant that access, that's the only way I see that she will come home, because all of her appeals have been denied. Um, and
And her
she's
kids
missed.
are big now.
Her kids are grown. I know her youngest daughter is 20. She's the same age, or she should be maybe 21 now. My daughter will be 21 in January. They were 2 years old. Um, but she often talked about her kids. So if you do get the book, she talked about her kids. She talked about some visits with them. So she watched them through prison. And I don't want to say, give too much, because I do want you to read the book, because I do believe
Mhm.
it is very impactful. Um, I myself, if you just get it, even if it's not something you feel you want to read or need to read, give it to someone else that you may think could benefit from
Yeah,
it.
read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for sharing your story. Like I said, it's a very, unique story.
Mhm.
And I hope whoever tuned in tonight can share this with somebody that you know, so that, they can, like she said, know the signs. That's the biggest thing. There's signs. They're always going to say, I love you. I didn't mean to do it.
Mhm.
But you have to just know when to leave. And like she said,
And do it
live.
as safely as you can. Have an escape plan. It's ways to do it. It's ways to do
Mhm.
it.
And don't forget, you can email her at why I care. I'm sorry.
No, that's
Oh,
what I
why
was saying. They can even help.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why I care 20 at gmail.com. And also you can follow her on Instagram at Shonny Dee and send her a DM. If you don't
Yeah.
want to DM her, you want to email her privately. Again, it's why I care 20 at gmail.com. And again, share this live out. It'll post to Instagram, it will post to Facebook and YouTube, and
Mhm.
let somebody else hear this story so that they too may be able to be saved. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to leave the audience with?
Pray for me, because this walk is not always easy. I pick up a lot of different stuff, but I'm
Yeah.
built for it. Um,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
also,
God knows who he gives. He knows who he gives
Yeah.
these things to. You
Yeah.
trust me. Obviously,
He
you
does.
know.
I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm grateful he chose me. I'm up for
Mhm.
the task. And thank you, Corey, for having me on
You're
your
welcome.
platform. I love
You're
the work that
welcome.
you're doing out there.
Thank you.
And I look forward to, working with you.
Yes, thank you so much. And again, thank you all for tuning in. I'm looking like I can see people. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, make sure you follow Shonny Dee. If you're not already following me, follow me as well at the Corey Love Show on all platforms. And as I always say at the end of my shows, guidance, blessings, and love. Good night. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Good night.